Hey guys, today we're going to talk about 8.1 Intro to Confidence Intervals. Confidence intervals are another way that we can make a decision about a true population. So whether we're talking about a true proportion, a true mean, a true difference in means, we're going to be using confidence intervals to make these new kind of guesses or these new conclusions about a population parameter that we might not necessarily be able to calculate otherwise. So a confidence interval is kind of like if you're playing The Price is Right. If we want to know how much this Tesla is, we might have the Tesla and kind of guess that maybe it's between, let's say, 50,000 and 100,000. So if it's between 50,000 and 100,000, that means I don't necessarily know the exact value of it, but I know that it's somewhere between that range of values. That's a confidence interval. Now, if I asked you, how confident are you that the actual value of the car is somewhere in between there? You might be able to tell me that you're, probably 100% confident, or maybe that you're even, 95% confident. So you can actually have different levels of confidence. Think about what would happen if I were to narrow or make that interval even larger. If I made the interval larger from like 0 to 500,000, do you think you'd become more confident that the price of that car is in between there? So it's kind of like a guesstimation to say, what do we think it's going to be versus if I open up an interval, is that going to increase my amount of confidence that I have in that true cost of the car being in that model? So a confidence interval is an interval of plausible values for an athlete's abilities, the true population parameter. And recall what we learned in first unit is the law of large numbers. So the more data that we look at, you'll notice that it converges and gets closer and closer and closer to a certain value. That's kind of like a confidence interval. I might take a sample, and from the sample, I'm going to determine, I might not be so confident from this one sample, but if I were to take a lot of samples, it might increase the amount of confidence that I have in the ability. So think about the weather. The chance that it rains could be somewhere between 20% and 40%. We don't know the exact amount, but we can try to predict using the data that we have, maybe past data from last year about March and this time. So that's going to be kind of what a confidence interval actually is. It's a interval of plausible values, so possible values that a true population parameter may be. So in stat reasoning and sports, we're going to see this athlete's ability, because the ability is what the athlete can do if we were looking in the long run. But when you get to that college stat class, you're going to be using words like parameter in order to define the population.